we look at numbers, and the numbers tell us a story about the business. But the piece that's missing is how your client perceives their own business. And that's why you want to ask those probing questions. When you put those two pieces of information together, that's where the magic happens, and that's where you can fill the gap.
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to the Successful Bookkeeper Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Palmer, and today's show is going to be an amazing one. Our returning guest is a great speaker at our Successful Bookkeeper Summit almost every year and the author of Hidden Profits, Stop Chasing Cash, Predictable Profit in 90 Days. Sounds like an amazing book you're going to want to buy. Debra Angilletta, welcome back to the podcast.
Oh my gosh, Michael, it's great to be back. Thanks so much.
It's great to have you. And, we were chatting in our pre-show talk. It's been a while. Lots is going on. There's lots to talk about and lots of opportunity out there for our listener, which I know they're going to be very excited about. And I want to thank you as well for coming to the summit. We're doing it again this year. I'm sure you'll be a guest at this year's summit. And you always do a wonderful job. You're always right up there on the list of top speakers that people say they loved and enjoyed. So again, it's always a privilege to have you here. And for those that don't know you, tell us a little bit about you before we get into the thick of things.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I'm a fractional CFO and I work with small business owners. And you know what? What's really interesting is that the fractional CFO space is usually for people that are north of 10 million in their revenues for businesses. And so small businesses don't get access to people like me. And so what that really means for your audience is that if I translate it, I do strategic advisory for my clients. So I don't do bookkeeping, I don't do accounting, but I work with bookkeepers and accountants all day long. So I work them on the strategy and advisory. And that's why I'm so thrilled to come on your podcast today, because we can share some secrets with your audience of what I see and maybe be able to give some pointers and tips, because advisory is the place you want to be. I know a lot of the people that listen to this are in that space, but you can go even deeper and create a really amazing business around that.
That's great. Well, let's get into this, because this is a very powerful conversation, and you're one of the best to talk about it, and you're doing it, and you help. That's what you do all the time, is help accountants and bookkeepers and other financial experts get great at being able to sell advisory services and do well with that. So why is it that it's not the first time that I've heard that bookkeepers would maybe either not know how to do it or struggle with it to sell advisory services. And I'm sure that they've heard so many times that, oh yes, you got to do this. It's important. Your clients want this, but yet there's still that gap.
Yeah. And I think the gap is that it really starts with mindset. So I know that accountants and bookkeepers want to help their clients on a deep level. And yes, the compliance piece is so very important. And all the diligent work that you do, it does count. But there is another opportunity. And the opportunity comes up when you get on the call with your clients and you just listen. You don't even think about having to perform or go over reports or talk about anything else. Just ask prompting questions and listen. How's your business going? What are some of your strategic plans for the upcoming 6 months? What are some of your goals? So those are open-ended questions to get your client to start talking more in depth about their business so that you can go deeper. So what you want to be doing is you're just being super curious about, hey, what's going on in your world? And that's all it is. And it really takes that sales part out of it, because we're not selling anything. We're just trying to understand our client on a deeper level. And in a sense, Michael, we're trying to get the rest of the story, because what's really, really great about what we do is that we look at numbers, and the numbers tell us a story about the business. But the piece that's missing is how your client perceives their own business. And that's why you want to ask those probing questions. When you put those two pieces of information together, that's where the magic happens, and that's where you can fill the gap.
Why is it that this is a challenge for people to ask these questions? I mean, it is. When you're speaking, I'm thinking, when you ask great questions, there is no selling. Like
Correct.
it just all sort of gets laid out in front of you, and you find this place, if I simplify it completely, you ask questions and you find a place of understanding, and that's where opportunity lives, in a world of understanding of each other and trust and all these wonderful things. Yet people, it's like maybe the hard to ask questions, or I don't want to probe, or I don't want to be nosy. I'm sure there's human condition stuff in there, but what's the secret behind that?
Yeah, well, it's all the above. I don't want to be nosy. I don't want to stick my neck out if I say something wrong. You have to remember, when you're asking questions, you're not saying anything, right? That's the key. You're just trying to pull out information, and it's all based on what they tell you, right? So when it comes to this, it's just really, if you need one place to get started. And that's really what happens here, Michael, is that most people don't know how to get started, right? They don't know what to say. So one thing that I can say is that, and a tip is, anything you're going to ask, just stick the word curious on the front of it. And it actually helps disarm people and makes them more comfortable, because what it's doing is it's giving your client or prospect permission to kind of just explore things. They don't have to come up with the right answer, because deep down, whenever we're asked a question, we're always searching for the right answer. We always want to be right because, we want to look good. So that's just our innate nature. But if we put curious on the beginning of the question, it actually disarms your client or your prospect, and it opens up conversation and discussion. So that's one of the magic things that happens. It's like when we're looking at our clients' books and we're saying, why are they doing this? What's going on over here? Like, these are like I call it the inside voice, or kind of like in the back room, we're saying, I don't understand what's going on this. Why would they do this? How do I ask that question? How do I bring this up? And for example, you can bring it up to say, hey, Michael, curious. I see that this is happening in your books. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Opens it up for conversation, doesn't make them wrong. There's no blame. There's no what we're like is like, why are they doing this, right? They could be doing something so different. But when you put that curiosity, you started off with that, it just changes the whole conversation and really opens up your client or prospect for that conversation.
It's beautiful, and I mean, that's the simple thing. It's just adding that word. I think that's a golden tip that we can say we've already learned so far is get these questions going. And the other thing that just popped into my head is, when you were saying like asking questions, having conversations, we're getting into this world of like digital, right? The emails and this, that. It can all be done without actually talking to a human. And wow, isn't that great? There was a moment when we celebrated that. Hey, we don't have to go to their office. We can do this in the cloud. We save all this time. But then eventually it's becoming, you're not having any connection with people. You're not having enough opportunity to even ask questions. How do you get around that?
Yeah. So what I like to say is that, and you always want to put some sort of a cadence in to be touching your clients. If you can't touch them quarterly because you have too many, then at least get a touch point semi-annually. And I know that's easier said than done. And if you have help or you have an assistant, you can put that cadence in and even have them schedule it. And here's the other thing about this is, we run a human-to-human connection business, right? Yes, we do a lot of things over email. Yes, we use digital. Yes, we're in this AI world. But you can't replace the human connection. And even if we're in this medium, if we're on the phone or on a Zoom call, we can still see each other. That still counts. So never discount the human-to-human connection. That's where the trust goes through the roof. And especially if you're in that advisory seat, people appreciate that time so much. The other part of this is that you don't need a lot of time for this. You don't have to book a 1-hour call with everybody for like a quick review, right? You only have to book 20 minutes, 30 minutes. That's all you have to do. It's just a touch point. And what you also want to do is, if you've got a lot of clients, I always like to say, look at everybody that would really be a great candidate for your advisory services. So look at your whole list, cherry pick 5, 10 people. That's totally doable. And then schedule a half-hour call and say, hey, listen, Michael, I as I was going through your books this month, I found some interesting things that I thought I would share with you that might be of some value. Do you have 30 minutes next week, Tuesday at 2 p.m. or Thursday at 3 p.m.? It's as simple as that.
That's great. That's great. And I think if our listeners sitting there wondering what to do, you should be taking notes and start with, we're going to ask this quick, curious question. We're going to actually book more time with our clients. And then as you're speaking, I'm thinking to myself, and I know I've thought of it before, but if you have a book of business, you have all these clients, it's really when you think about those, it's like, oh, we get revenue from those clients, but what revenue is sitting there that we haven't gotten yet? It's this gold mine that we can start to open up. And that's exciting for those that are thinking they could do this. For those that aren't, it's like, oh, well, how am I going to do this? And we've talked a little bit about that. But let's maybe put this out there. The bookkeeper is seen as a compliance provider in many cases. It's like you do the books and say, whoa, why are you asking me all these strategic questions? What's happened? I'm sure that's a fear that people are going to have about their owner saying, well, I've been doing this for 10 years with this client. I don't ask those questions. I do a good job. I deliver what they need. But now all of a sudden I want to ask these questions. It's like jumping off the diving board. How do they get around that to becoming viewed as that trusted business advisor?
Yeah. So what I would say is this goes back to the know your customer, right? We always want to make sure the KYC, know your customer. And those people that may be asking you a couple of extra questions or might be open to this. Once again, go through your list and just get started. Pick 5 people. 5 people that might be open to this kind of thing and just do a practice. It's not to have a particular outcome with the intention of being like, oh, I'm going to up-level them to advisor. I'm going to sell them on my advisory services. It's really just practice. Who are the 5 people that are going to be most receptive that you think that would be receptive to you kind of picking up the phone or sending that email and being like, hey, I know we haven't done this before, but why don't we take some time? I saw some interesting things in your books that might be of value to you. So let's put 30 minutes on the calendar next week. Which time works better? So it's just all about getting started. There's nothing complicated here, and I don't want to make it complicated for your audience at all. I want to be able to have people to just take those easy steps and just really, like you said, jump off the diving board. That's something that you can do if we just narrow it down to 5 opportunities, and you get to pick them. That's the beautiful thing. So, and invite those people to a call, and then once again, start having those curiosity conversations.
I love that. I love to hear you've seen so many, you've worked with so many. If you think about someone who's gone from that, okay, here you are, you're running this business, you've got these clients, and then you start to do this kind of work. What's the transformation that you've seen people do this leap, and what results do they get from it?
Oh my gosh, they just want more. They're like, I just want to do advisory. So now they're going to the other end of the spectrum, like, I just want to do advisory, right? They're like, bookkeeping, forget it. I just want to do the advisory, right? I'm like, whoa, let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater, right? So that's what I see a lot. Once they get started, they're like, it's a whole new world. I didn't realize this existed. I didn't realize I could do this and people would pay me for it, right? So that's a lot of what I find. And so it's very transformational because now, instead of coming at it from providing a service, right? So we're providing the compliance. Unfortunately, it's kind of like a necessary evil for the business owner. So the advisory actually up-levels you to partnership level. So now it actually up-levels you to be like that strategic partner with your client when you are the strategic eyes that they're going to hire for advisory, right? So it actually up-levels your authority status in that relationship. And now they're going to see you as that trusted advisor or that strategic advisor. Because listen, here's the truth of it. Most business owners, they're operating in isolation. They got nobody else to talk to. They're always looking to find another adult in the room to talk about their business. And if they're sitting at the dinner table trying to talk to their wife or kids about business, they're like, I don't know what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, I always say, I am just a wealth of knowledge that I am useless at the dinner table with. Right? So, but you have to remember that they're operating in isolation and they're looking for someone to just be a sounding board. And sometimes, honestly, I have some engagements where I go in for strategic advisory, and really what the sessions wind up being is they just want a sounding board. They just want to be kind of like, hey, let me tell you a little bit about my business and what do you see in your clients? And that's the beautiful thing. You see so much and have so much experience that now you're able to take that experience and really serve it up in a way that the business owner is looking for. They're looking for your expertise. They're looking for your knowledge because they don't know what they're benchmarking against, right? They don't know what other people are doing in their industry, out of their industry, what's going on in general in the economy. Like they see the news and everything else, but you become the source of truth because you're living it and you're working it every single day. So they want that from you and they so value it. Some of the most simple conversations I have are the most valuable conversations for business owners. And I walk away from that and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe this. I can actually give you a really quick example. Today I was on with one of my clients and we're doing some consultative stuff. She brought her husband in on the call. He's also a business owner. They're trying to get their taxes done. And so from an advisory standpoint, they were asking some questions about getting their taxes done and quarterly taxes. I said, listen, I'm not a CPA. I'm not a bookkeeper, but here's what I can do. I can have a conversation with you from business owner to business owner and share with my experience with you. How do my clients handle quarterly taxes? How do my clients handle when they get a really big tax bill? What is it that they do? And by the time, and it was just a fun conversation. Like I got a cup of coffee. They sat there with a coffee. We were like going back and forth. You can tell I'm from New York, right? Coffee, right? And we wound up talking for 30 minutes. And by the end of that 30 minutes, they said, I've learned more here in 30 minutes talking to you than I have 10 years working with my CPA.
Yeah.
And I'm not even a bookkeeper, guys.
Yeah. It's exciting. These conversations aren't happening with their accountants. I mean,
no.
it is the, everybody's time starved and people's expectations are very low because of that. So
Yes.
It's like busy accountant, busy bookkeeper, busy business owner. Everything just gets left undone, but opportunities are not being fully realized because we're not stopping and doing this work and having these conversations. So it's a big opportunity for them. And I think it's also interesting too that the relationship that someone would have when you ask questions, like if I went out and asked a business owner that I met on the street and said, how are things going? They'd be like, it's great. Life is great. Everything's awesome, right? They play the Lego movie theme song, right? But the bookkeeper asks that question of their client. It's like, how are things going? It's great. Well, not perfect, because the bookkeeper has so much information about the truth about what's going on financially in the business, which is a super important piece. And so you can quickly get to that trust level because you're already dealing with the most sensitive part of their entire life, likely.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, they want you to ask them because I'll tell you, and this is really where the book came from. I wound up interviewing 100 small business owners. Now, these are business owners in the range of like $500,000 to $3 million. They don't have a CFO. They have an outsourced bookkeeper, accountant, and then they also have a CPA. So that was the criteria. And I asked them, this was the question. I said, what is it that you like that your bookkeeper does? And they went ahead and told me. They had great things to say about their bookkeepers. They keep everything in order. They give me reports, all that kind of stuff. And then I asked the question. I said, what is it that you wish they did that they don't do? And boy, did I get an answer. And it was overwhelmingly, the answer was, I wish they would give me information that I can use to drive my business forward. I wish they provided more strategic advisory. And that's how the book was written. I did not expect that, but I came out with a totally different premise to write this book, and I had to change the whole thing based on the data from all the interviews.
Beautiful. And so this book, let's talk a little bit about it. You gave us a little synopsis there of why you wrote the book, Hidden Profits. Who should read this book?
So what I love about this, there's actually two audiences. So first audience is the small business owner that when they're making money and they make more money, they're like, I'm making more money, but where's the money going? Like they can't find their money, right? So that's really who the book is for, because I hear that all the time. And they always think, the business owner thinks, I just have to make more money or make more revenue. And you want to know what? That's not always the case. It's finding where your money goes. So it solves that problem. The other audience it's for is for accountants and bookkeepers. Why? Because it's the blueprint for advisory services. Because in every single chapter, there's a case study of whether it's my client or it's somebody that I interviewed. And it talks specifically how a strategic advisor could have helped that person make better decisions, make more money. Not only that, what do we always say? Top line is vanity, bottom line is sanity, right? Keeping more profits, paying themselves more, being able to grow, and then do things and maybe contribute bigger in their life. So it is a little bit of a blueprint for accountants and bookkeepers as well. That's why I love that I wrote it for two audiences.
I love that. That's great. Now, I know we have a short episode today because you're going off to work with a whole bunch of bookkeepers on helping them have success in this area, which is super exciting. So I want to do a way to end it, a rapid fire, like what are the top things or ideas that you have that would send our listener into motion, and then they can go get your book, they can come to the summit, they can watch the previous episode, and we're going to have you back, of course, again for a deeper dive into some other areas that you're an expert in. But what would that be for you? Some rapid fire.
Okay. So what's the first thing I would do? I would call your list and find your top 5 people where there's a great opportunity to have a deeper conversation. And if you've gotten signals from your clients where they ask questions like, well, what does this mean? What does that mean? Or I want to learn more about this, right? That's how you can start the conversation. And then start with those curiosity questions. When you've got that inside voice inside saying, why are they doing this? Or why is this happening? Make sure that comes out in the form of curiosity questions. What was the other question? Those were the top 2.
Top 2. I think that's really like set this in motion.
Yes.
If you're not doing it, if you're already great, get better at it. There's gold in those hills, as they say.
Yeah.
And you really did. It's like find those 2 or 3 customers that you can reach out and get this started, and anything else that you think people should do now in order to be successful.
Yeah, honestly, if you want to see how this works and even understand even some more questions to ask, you can get the book. You can download the book.
Yes. Now, is there any other website or resource that you want to bring people to attention to? Where's the best place to go get the book? Of course, we'll put the links in the show notes.
Yeah. So the book is on Amazon. So you can search for Hidden Profits on Amazon, or you can go to findmyhiddenprofits.com. You can actually download. I've got a free download, the first 3 chapters of the book. So you can get that too.
Lovely. That's great. So we'll have the links in the show notes for everyone. And I really want to thank you for being on the show. And I think this is a really good opportunity for our listener to just go forth and do something new in their business. And also, hey, get registered for the summit and come listen to you again there. And if you don't already, you've done several sessions. People will get access to those recordings that you've done in previous years. Super exciting. Thank you so much for all the work that you do for our community. It's amazing to have you, and I want to thank you on behalf of our listeners.
Thanks so much, Michael. It's such a beautiful community. Love everybody here, and just go take some action.
Take some action. And if you do, let us know. Come into the community and shout out, hey, I did this. I was successful. We'd love to hear about it. And with that, we wrap another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper Podcast. To learn more about today's wonderful guest and to get access to all sorts of valuable free business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Until next time, goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.